everybody, and welcome to From the Sidelines. My name is Monique. I'll be your host for the evening, and to the right of me is CJ, and down below is Cody, and we might have a few more guests joining us as we progress along this hour. We from the Sidelines are live on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sports Fluent, currently on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And today we'll be talking about the Tush Push rule being approved by the NFL, as well as their involvement in the upcoming 2028 Olympic flag football debut. So, pretty interesting topics. Can't wait to get started on them. And then we'll carry on and get our own opinions on both topics. So the first one is the Tush Push rule. Now, before I hand it over to my esteemed guests to get their take on the approval, I just want to get some background for anyone else who's watching who doesn't know what the Tush Push rule is. It pretty much means when the players physically push the quarterback over the offensive line. That's exactly what it means. And it was originally proposed by the Green Bay Packers, the ban of the quarterback sneak play, and it was made famous by the Eagles, that are pretty much the only team that made it effective in their plays during the season and the postseason. So there was a vote to ban it, but it did not receive enough votes. I believe it was 2 votes short. So they could have gotten 24 out of the 32 teams' votes, but they only got 22. So now I'm going to go over to CJ. What do you think about the Tush Push being approved and not banned? And I'm just going to give a little bit more context as we go along. CJ, what are your thoughts?
What can I say about the brotherly shove, as people also like to call it? I mean, it's weird because obviously it's become, notorious based off of one specific team doing it really well. I think what we really need to figure out is, can defensive players also push their defensive alignment and to counteract the tush push? Because there was a ban of you cannot have push a runner forward for a while, or you can't push a pile. So I think that's been reversed. But again, those minute rules, what stems for the tush push, right? So it's if it's legal because I don't think you're able to push the quarterback per se. I think you have to push the offensive line. I think in order to make the play legal. But I don't know, I just think it's overblown. Obviously, if the Eagles don't get down to 4th-1, 4th-2, or on the goal line, you have a good shot of not, letting them get the play. So it is kind of the Green Bay Packers are definitely it's gonna be a fun matchup between them and the Eagles this year, because they're the number one haters of the Tush Push. But I don't know, I'm still going back and forth whether I don't care enough about the Tush Push, to be honest. Right. I do see it twice a year. I thought it was hilarious when Frankie Louvu jumped over the line multiple times, and I learned via Dan Quinn's press conference this offseason was that that was something that they actually designed, and that they were testing to push the limits of, hey, if we disrupt the Tush Push enough, could this either upset people or cause speculation? So it was something that people are working on trying to disrupt. So I don't know. I'm still going back and forth with the Tush Push. So.
Okay, Cody, what do you think? Do you care enough, like CJ just mentioned, or is it something that you actually take more seriously? What are your thoughts?
I'm kind of like CJ. I don't care about it too much, to be honest, but I'm kind of on the fence about the whole issue, because I could see both sides. I could see yeah, it's kind of just a boring play, and it's pretty much automatic for the Eagles. Mm-hmm. I think they've been stopped 3 times in the last 2 years or something like that. But I mean, but they're uniquely built to run that play because of Jalen Hurts' strength. He can squat to like 600 pounds, stuff like that. And now he's a little bit smaller in his strength. They've always had a good offensive line with Kelsey, and now I think Jurgens is their center now. They're kind of uniquely built to run that play. I mean, we've seen other teams try it. The Bills tried it against the Chiefs a couple of times. It didn't work. Ravens like to put Mank on it, it's like quarterback and run it. And it's somewhat effective, but not 100%. So, I mean, should they really get penalized for perfecting the play? It's legal. So I don't think they should. But I also think it's like if a team can run it at 100% success rate, there's got to be something to change it there, because you can't just be like, we'll stop them, because no one stops them. Any team they play, doesn't matter if you have like Vita Vea on the center, they're still going to find a way to do it. Like they run it successfully against every single team. So it's like there's no one that's going to like stop them. So I get that, but I also think it's like, okay, if the Eagles were like, no offense to the Jaguars, but if they were like the Jaguars and just kind of like a bottom level team, no one would care. But it's a team that just won the Super Bowl. They were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago or 3 years ago. They're a team that's always around the last, 5 to 7 years. So that's what we really care about. If they were a team that this was one of their only successful plays, no one would really care. So I think it's a little bit of whining by teams like the Packers. It's like, you know what, find your own way to kind of, get that extra edge. As a Patriots fan, I saw Bill Belichick take every single inch he was given to, and sometimes pass the line and take too many inches a little bit sometimes as well. So I can't be hypocritical and like get on them about that.
Exactly. So when it comes to the tush push rule, I am pretty much on your guys' side. I really don't care too much about it, like y'all pretty much said, but I did find some of the reasons why a lot of teams were considering to ban it. There are at least 3 reasons that I thought of. The first one is that it's more of like a rugby style play, so a lot of teams were like, kind of against that. And then obviously the most obvious reason is the potential for injuries to occur, and then players jumping offside or lining up in the neutral zone more so. Those are the reasons that I thought of when it came to the tush push rule and why there are reasons to ban. Now, surprisingly, guys, there is one team that kind of changed their mind. When I say they, I mean the team owners changed their mind pretty much last minute and decided to vote to ban the tush push rule, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So head coach Todd Bowles said he was in favor of the play during the NFL Combine. If you guys didn't know that, now you do. And then and then he kind of changed his mind last minute and said, yeah, no, I gotta want to ban it. Now, here are the teams that voted to ban the tush. Here are the 10 teams that voted against the ban. So the Patriots were actually one of them. Cody, you probably know that. The Eagles obviously are number 1. The Ravens are in there. The Cleveland Browns, the Detroit Lions, the Jacksonville Jaguars, like we mentioned, the Miami Dolphins, the New Orleans Saints, the New York Jets, and the Tennessee Titans. So any of these teams surprise you? I know I went by that fast, so I can always repeat them. But any of these teams surprise any of you? I'm going to start with Cody first, that decided against ban, that were actually in favor of what's happening with the Eagles doing this to other teams.
Do you have the Cowboys on that list? Were they one of the teams you read?
No.
Okay, yeah, I thought I heard earlier in the week that Jerry Jones like changed his mind on it, but I'm not surprised by any specific team. I mean, I thought most NFC teams would be against it, so maybe like teams like Tampa Bay and Detroit. Detroit's probably a team that could see the Eagles down the road in a big playoff game, so I thought they would be against it. But no team I'm super surprised that voted to keep it. I did see Mike Vrabel come out and said that he thinks that like that he was kind of on the same thing, like they've perfected the play, like they've figured it out, so why should we penalize them for that? So I kind of agree with him on that a little bit there. But yeah, I thought most NFC teams would vote against it, but I guess there was a few that got through.
Yeah, CJ, are there any teams that I just said that you were surprised that were against the ban in the first place?
Yeah, actually, I'm really surprised that the Detroit Lions, in terms of like, if you think about, for me, my thought process of like teams that were like will be supporting it would be like maybe like the Colts who have like like an AR plus Steichen was in Philly, and then four I would think New Orleans Saints because Kellen Moore was just there learning how to run it. But then it's like, and so I'm thinking of quarterback guys who like either have like that affiliation with Philly or like okay like I have a quarterback I think I can get it done with the we can try the tush push right. But you think of Jared Goff, like you don't think like oh yeah like
Not
let's
happening.
push Jared Goff tush like to get that first that 1 yard, like it just doesn't seem, like I got David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Hand them the rock and get out the way, pretty much. So it was interesting that they were on their side, and even with the Bucks too. But like maybe the Bucks just think like with Bowles just being a like defensive mastermind, like hey, I'm just gonna figure something out. I mean, not everybody has Vita Vea. No one has Vita Vea except for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then he just got I think they got Desmond, the big 460 D tackle. I think they signed him to practice squad.
Damn. Okay.
So it's like that's probably why they're not worried about it.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
If he makes
That
it.
makes total sense. Yeah. So, besides the reasons for the ban and also the teams that were against the ban, the one team that perfected this play to the max, the Philadelphia Eagles, they, when this whole thing got approved, went on X and say, push on. Like,
Love
they should, right? Because they perfected the play. Now, I think I don't know, guys, if there's any other plays within the history of the NFL that have been this perfected and only one team has perfected it. And I understand I'm the same way when it comes to like if they perfected it, they got it down packed, they understand the system works for them, then why ban it? That's not entirely fair in my opinion. But at the same time, if there's no other plays beforehand or currently besides the tush push that has been only perfected by one team, kind of like reiterating what Cody said, then I don't really see a problem. But there kind of is this kind of scrutiny behind having something only perfected by one team, right? So what do you think? Do you know of any plays that beforehand that were kind of like in a similar situation? CJ, I'll start with you first.
I mean, honestly, you will have to go back to 1930s or whenever the four pack, a thing where like, oh, what? Wait, you throwing the football? What are you doing? Like, no, line up in T formation and hit that swing. Like that's the probably the last time we've seen something like that. Or I mean, it's just it's a weird thing. It feels like a very haterish thing of the league, which I appreciate it. To be honest with you, but I think one thing that we need to investigate with the Philadelphia Eagles, it doesn't need to be the tush push, right? We need to investigate the red zone area. And because it's uncanny the amount of players that get tackled at the 1 yard line for that team. And then the tush push becomes a thing. Because that's the reason Jalen Hurts has gotten so many rushing touchdowns this past year.
Right.
Dude, like he's like the happiest guy. You never see this man crack a smile until he hits the little the sprinklers from the Buffalo Wild Wings commercial, just so someone can trip up and then he can get his touchdown. Like honestly, I think Jalen Hurts should be banned from the NFL. I'm gonna start a new petition to ban Jalen Hurts from the NFL.
Right.
He is pushing a button in Lincoln Financial to where it's like, hey, I need this rushing touchdown, buddy. Like, Jahan Dotson in the Super Bowl. Like, he thought he had the opening touchdown. First touchdown score would have been a crazy payout. You know what? Nope. Jalen Hurts. Okay, so it's like,
right.
That's what I think we really need to be speculating on.
Right.
Okay, so we should maybe change gears. Cody, do you agree with this? I never even thought of these perspectives until now. So what do you think?
That's funny that you bring that up. I think it was the first time they played the Chiefs. I had Boston Scott for first touchdown. He got all the way down to the one. And so I was like, of course, no running back's going to score. And I think he was like, I don't know, like
Those are
25 to 1,
crazy.
or it was maybe even more, might be more like 35 to 1. But yeah, I think I had him and I was pissed off because they gave him the touchdown and then they reviewed it. And of course, he was short and it's like, okay, well, they're not going to give it to him again. And yeah, sure enough, Tush Push got all the way to like the back of the end zone, basically, because they just, but yeah, I think maybe there is something they could do, like, hey, you can't do this on the goal line, you can only do this in short yardage situations outside of the red zone or outside of the 5-yard line and back, maybe something there. And then, like, I know Saquon Barkley's a team guy, but think about how many more rushing touchdowns he'd have if they would just hand him the ball. He's scoring from there on 1 or 2 plays at least. So it's like, I think Jalen Hurts led the league last year in rushing touchdowns, but like him versus Lamar's like distance on their touchdowns, it's like 2 yards versus like 10, 15 yards touchdown rush. So it's like, yeah, I think that could be a little bit there. I don't know about banning Jalen Hurts. I don't know if I'd go that far, but
hey, as a East fan, I would love not to see Jalen Hurts.
Right? I say, who's their backup? I don't even remember because Kenny Pickett's out of there. So I'm trying to think who their backup is, but
I don't know who their backup is.
Oh my gosh, we're blanking, guys.
I mean, it's probably
I don't remember.
Stanford quarterback. He's a
Is
tall
Tanner
McKee. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is him. He ain't doing no.
Well, then also they drafted Kyle McCord as well.
Oh, yes, right, I was gonna say that. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, maybe they tweak it a little bit. You can't do it on the goal line anymore. You can only do it short yardage outside of the 5-yard line. But I think if they run this play to success again this year, which is almost expected because they always do, I think this is just going to come back around. And they're a team that's in the Super Bowl or in the NFC Championship. It's probably going to come around again against the vote. And I think maybe next time around it probably won't be voted because they only need 2 more votes.
Well, there's something else we could talk about because so I think one of the things that came up in the vote was the injury concerns, but there wasn't enough data, right?
Right.
So you could also see teams trying to, game the data, so to speak. Because that's why Jason Kelsey was in there just to kind of vouch for. I never got hurt, but obviously you see how long it takes these guys to kind of get up from that mosh pile, to be honest. And so, you could see like a couple times more often, maybe you get a designated guy to just stay down so they can have to like. Similar to what Tennessee does,
right? Or Ole Miss, like Lane Kiffin
they
style.
Got a designated person to get down, which I think they're going to be finding them this year. So it's like, hey, Tush Push, you're the designated person. Just
stay down. Yeah. It's like what CJ was saying, like literally what I see at soccer games. No offense to English Premier League or World Cup watchers or anything like that. It's just kind of like very similar to that. So, yeah. So, okay, this is my last point before we move on to our next topic, which is a really interesting one. This one is interesting too, but I really like our next topic a lot. Okay, so CJ brought up this point like earlier about if the Tush Push can happen, which is now approved now, it's not banned or anything like that. So the Philadelphia Eagles will most likely use it in their plays. Well, why can't we just push the defense on the other side? Like I get it. Like not all teams are built with the best defense. And like you guys mentioned a few players here and there that were either, traded, drafted, whatever on the Buccaneers side. And so they're more well equipped for that. So it's like, no, we'll let it slide this time. We'll get them next time. But why can't we just as the Green Bay Packers, the ones that are complaining about it, why don't you just try to do something to mitigate that instead of just complaining about it? Because so every team that's perfected a play, it has to be banned? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's fair. I think this is football at the end of the day. This is what we watch every Sunday, Monday, Thursday. And that's just it. So, I'm gonna go back to CJ on this one. I like the proposed idea about the defense pushing back as well, but I think my point about the fact that each team isn't as well resourced when it comes to the defense, they might not be able to accomplish that. What do you think, CJ? Any solutions to this problem?
Well, I think one thing it is sample size. I want to say like I mean they'll probably run the tush push maybe like 60 times a year, right? So it's like okay, you you obviously now I mean now you probably have a little bit more data that has been going on for the last couple of years, but it's like also for the most part still same people. Um, I think also like you have to get creative as we saw in an NFC Championship game. What Dan Quinn did with Frankie Louisville, have him just jump over a line of scrimmage multiple times trying to game the system. Um,
Mhm.
you also have to think about possibly like pushing your own defensive play. I think it's still unclear whether or not you
Right.
can do that. So I think it's about having either just go like experimenting with it or just like getting that like you have to be able to verify with league officials. Like you don't want to like I would probably rather try something and ask for forgiveness and if it didn't work and
Yeah.
then and
Right.
versus kind of like hey like could we do this and which will flag them for like oh be on the lookout for they might try this, right? But at the same time if you're dominating the Philadelphia Eagles then you necessarily won't see it that often, right? And
Right.
then so it's a weird thing. It's so situational. Then you won't have enough time to to really figure out what you want to do, and especially if you try to call a timeout when they're lining up to do a tush push, say in the pivotal time of the game. But then it's like you give them more time to think about. Actually, we're going to run a play, right? So it's just a gamesmanship thing to where it is really kind of hard. It's complex to really kind of nail down like a different thing, like a specific thing to you can counteract the tush push. But I do think like reverse push. Like we got to start
Yeah.
there and then
Mhm.
figure out what we can do from there based off of what the refs rule.
Okay, and Cody, do you have any possible solutions on how we can counteract it, or is it very situational and timely, like CJ just mentioned?
Yeah, like CJ said, I'm not familiar with the rules. If you can push like defensive players and things like that, I'm not sure if that's the case, but like maybe you reach out to some teams in Australia, some rugby teams or something like that, get some, which is crazy because Jordan Mailata is on the Eagles. So, of course, that helps them even more because he was a
Yeah,
professional rugby player in Australia. But maybe you reach out, find some other ways, or maybe you do find, like the guy from Texas that was in the draft, get a couple of guys that are just 350 and plus. Maybe they're not
Mhm.
on your team all the time. You keep them on the practice squad, especially if you're in the division. You bring them up. Their week you play the Eagles. It's like, hey, this is the play you're in. You're gonna plug up the hole. Basically, is the whole thing, and just get some guys with beef that maybe not they're not able to push, but like CJ said, it's situational. It's like you see this play 50, 60 times a season. You know when it's going to happen, so you can kind of gear for it a little bit because, okay, hey, they're
Yeah.
third and two and or
Mhm.
less, fourth and two, where they're on like the 2-3 yard line. They're going to do it as well. So you kind of know when it's coming, but
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know. I've seen teams try like random things, and I've never seen any team like do anything successfully. I wish that what's it that Troy Polamalu was still in the league. Maybe he can do the whole
mm,
jump over the line like he used to do back in the day because no one did that better than him. Maybe he could have done that, but I mean, Luvu tried that like 3 times, and they almost tried it too many times where they could just get a free touchdown basically. So
Yeah.
it's tough. I don't know. Maybe just get some beef in the middle, get that 400-pound guy, and just put him over the center and be like, all right, let's see if Jalen Hurts can squat this 400-pound guy. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I guess the reason why I brought up that topic or subtopic to this topic was because if you anticipate it coming and you see, like, you can watch footage, you can do this or that, you can do A/B testing, which is exactly what we're talking about right now. In this situation, let's try this. In that situation, let's try that. And then see what happens and see what works. Maybe even the smallest victories might be important in certain games. So I think that there are things that people teams can do, or head coaches, offensive coordinators can do, or even defensive coordinators. Sorry, but at the same time, like it just kind of when this is not obviously talking about the tush push, but when the Eagles won against the Chiefs, right? It was one of those things where a lot of people thought this was going to be a walkover cake for the Chiefs again. They're going to win the Super Bowl. But then here's the thing. The Chiefs, in my opinion, and I'm sorry if anybody is a Chiefs fan, in my opinion, when I watched them play, and they have a very successful system, I'm not saying they don't, but the reason why the Eagles were able to beat that system is probably because they knew exactly what was going to happen. They knew where that ball was going to go to. They knew exactly who was going to run it. And then you have Travis Kelce. So they eliminated all these problems, and they were able to beat them, right? And something that many teams couldn't do, at least in the playoff season and beyond, even in the Super Bowl. So that's just kind of like, to me, is the reason why ban it if it is a possibility. I'm sure one day one team will be able to beat the tush push, in my opinion, if you have the right resources, if you have the right strategies, if you have really good coordinators, defense as well in there, then why not? Okay, guys, we are going to move on to our second topic. We only have two topics today because these are it could be pretty extensive, I would say, for the most part. So we're going to talk about the NFL giving the green light to build the Olympic Dream Team, aka Team USA, for the 2028 Summer Olympics flag football debut. Yes, I know. CJ's ready. He's gunning for it. Love it. Exactly. So when I think of this, and if anyone does not know, I'm Canadian, so we're screwed. Every team is screwed. Compared
Actually,
to
Canada might be good for the silver, though. He might be good to get second place.
Yeah, but
CFL got some people.
They got some guys.
Yes,
got some dudes.
But not to your guys' level, for sure. That's why they're in the CFL anyways.
Any given Sunday.
True, I know. I'm just putting my nation under the bus here. But anyways, so it's just like they did in basketball. We had the Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson era of the Dream Team basketball team and Team USA. So we are going to do that again for the 2028 Summer Olympics, which, by the way, take place in Los Angeles. So you already know the home crowd is going to be there. Sure. So a little bit of a context before we start. So what am I even talking about? So basically, the NFL team owners, they voted a unanimous 32-0 result, allowing the players to play in the Olympics with the debut of flag football. So soon it will go to a players' vote, but I'm sure there's a lot of players that would love to bring home gold and represent their country. There are a few stipulations, though, and this is it's not a rumor, but it's not necessarily super confirmed yet. So, number one, only one player from each NFL team is allowed to play. And the second one is that each team's designated international player is allowed to represent their country's team. So I'm going to start with Cody first. What do you think about that? And then obviously when we get to CJ, I'll pose the next question, which is our fun interactive one. Go ahead, Cody.
I love it. I think it's cool. I mean, once we heard that flag football was going to be part of the 28 Olympics, it's I know there was so many NFL players are I got to be on this team. So yeah. I think it's cool, the NFL approving them to be on the team. I like the rule that there's only one player per team, so you can't really stack it with just one team. But I think it's awesome. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I kind of think it's probably going to be what it looked like in 92 with the Dream Team, when they kind of just ran through the competition because they were that much better. Yeah. We do have that many more players that can play football, but it's different. This is not the same thing. So it's we're not going to have the physicality out there. It's just flag football, so you're not hitting anybody, but still, U.S. should still dominate because just the players we have, and this is our sport. So yeah, we should definitely dominate. But I'm excited. I'll probably watch all of it as well, even just the random countries play just to see. And then this is scouting opportunities, I think, for NFL teams. Like, hey, who's out there on other teams? Maybe we can get them on our team or give them a tryout, things like that. So I think it'll be fun.
That's a very good perspective, Cody. Now, CJ, what do you think about this? Are you excited like we are?
I'm definitely excited about the prospect of flag football in the Olympics, especially because now they're having an initiative for flag football in high school sports and even eventually college sports, and kids be able to get like scholarships to play flag football. I think eventually it's what's going to happen. So I think it's really cool. Again, only having like one player per team is cool, and in theory, but then it's like, what type of profile of player are they going to allow? Like, you're not going to say, hey, I just signed, like because if I'm in year 2, right? So 2028 year two for me, where I know like I need to ball out another year in order for me to get a big payday. Like, I don't want to risk that. I mean, I think it's a really good opportunity but I don't want to risk injury in a flag football tournament. Same, but then it's like the same for players who just got paid. Say, hey, I just paid $300 million or $100 million to this player. I'm not risking him to the Olympics. So then I think we could see older players or rookies, lower end rookies. So which then I think it could be a bit of a equal or playing field depending on how those logistics work out. But to your point about Canada got some decent ball players. I'm looking it up now. Curtis Rourke, who just got drafted.
Yeah, you're right.
The 49ers. You have Javon Holland, who's really good. Josh Palmer, receiver, now play for the Bills. Sidney Brown, twin brother of Chase Brown, who also is Canadian, who's the running back for the Cincinnati Bengals. So I'm just saying, you got some talent on that Canadian roster.
I think Silver's inside. I think they definitely can do it. Yeah.
It depends, because I feel like there's other countries, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I know this is a different sport, but like rugby countries might have a one-up. That's what
usually, yeah.
So that's what I was thinking. I was just like, I'm thinking like Australia, New Zealand, like those countries, so on and so forth, when it comes to rugby. So that's why I'm just like, I don't know if silver is within our reach, but if we get past them, then why not? So this begs the question, though. So CJ kind of brought up a good point. What kind of profile of players are they going to allow to go to the Olympics? Are they going to risk too much? Are they going to say, like, yeah, no, you can go to the Olympics. That's fine, even though you're, like, star player or one of our star core players? And because then I didn't even think of that, honestly, because a lot of people that are writing articles and like criticisms about this whole ordeal, they're thinking like some of the star players like Lamar or something like that in there, and I'm like, wait a second, CJ brought up a really good point. So I don't even know if he's gonna be one of the ones that are gonna be considered on the dream team, right? But
you get a high quality Garner Minshew out there. You can see a Taylor Heineke be a, because I think that would just, I think that would just dilute the game. Not saying not disrespecting these people. Obviously, they've won games in the league, but it's like, I'm okay letting a Taylor Heineke play, for the flag football. I'm not letting Justin Herbert, or Joe Burrow, where I'm investing a lot of money, or Jamar Chase. I'm not letting these guys play, risking. Even though Chase did get his bag, so I mean, I guess, but
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I think that would be interesting to see if some owners push back on some of these star players that they're paying a ton. I think it's gonna be hard because a lot of these players are gonna want to play, And the injury risk in flag football is not super high. Like it obviously can happen, but you're not hitting, so it's not super high. But I mean, shit could happen, and all of a sudden, yeah, you have your star player out there playing flag football in the Olympics, and boom, he tears his Achilles or something like that, and he's out for the season. It's going to be pretty bad. But I don't know. I think it's going to be tough to see owners push back on these players because it's just I'd want to play if I were them. So I think it'll be tough, but I'm sure it's going to happen. I'm sure there's already conversations happening like, hey, you're not going to be out there, bro. Like, hey, I just gave you the bag. You ain't going out there, like you said.
I mean, we still got 3 years, so it's still going to be a lot of time. And then even when I think they asked Jay Jettis, like, hey, do you want to be on the team? And he was just like, he's kind of deflected a little bit. He's like, hey, like that's in 3 years. Like, I don't even know what my body's going to be like in 3 years, which is a very valid point. And even still, like, a lot of injuries that can happen on, like, 7-on-7s is like, it is those non-contact injuries, which death, like, those are the ones that, you're most afraid of. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun to see how everything plays out.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think piggybacking off of what Cody said, like, about the players wanting to play, like, they put it to the team owners' votes. Now they're putting it to the players' votes. And what you guys actually think that we're going to get a split vote? Probably not. I think we're going to get a majority vote where most players would want to represent their country if they were chosen to represent their country, which is usually Team USA. The international players, we should watch out for those because those are going to be interesting, with a few of them that I have in mind that might, stir up the pot a little bit. It might not just be the dream team, Team USA, especially if, no offense to these players, especially if CJ has a point about these owners and these, head coaches, coordinators, like, pulling back some of the players because they've invested too much money, mostly money and time on them. So I think that's going to be interesting. But nonetheless, let's just say we have free reign. Let's just say we have all the players say they want to go and represent Team USA or whatever team internationally that they want to represent. I want to go to Cody first. Who would be your Olympic dream team? Let's just say USA for now.
Okay. All right. So I went back and forth for the quarterback between like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, just because they have to be a little bit mobile because you need rushers. So you can't just have like a statue back there. It can't be someone who's not mobile. I landed on Josh Allen just because I think he's got a better arm than Lamar Jackson. So he'd be able to throw the deep balls a little bit better. Running back, I went Jahmyr Gibbs because I think you need a running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield. Like, it can't just be like a guy who's just going to run up the middle. You need a guy who could be a receiver as well. I think he's one of the better receiving backs in the league. And then wide receivers is pretty simple for me. I went Chase and Jefferson. And then for our big receiver, I went A.J. Brown, just a guy who can get up and get a jump ball. And then I did go tight end. And then I think the center, they said, can go out for passes. So you need someone who could catch it. So for tight end, I went Brock Bowers. And then for the center, I went a guy who can maybe block a little bit and then go off for passes. I went with McBride for the Cardinals on the offensive side.
Did anybody factor in defense?
I got a defensive roster too. If you want to hear it,
we'll go offense first on CJ, and then we'll go back and forth on defense. CJ, your turn.
So this is totally non-biased, but I'm going JD5 as my quarterback here. Then factor in. I think something I would want for my team is size and also like shiftiness. So like I'm looking at like a T Higgins, 6'4" receiver, and a Brian Thomas Jr. And then I'm gonna go a Malik Neighbors. So I'm factoring also these are the younger guys, so that they will be like by this time they will definitely have their second contract by now, based off. And then but T Higgins is gonna be a little bit past his prime, but I think these guys will be fun factoring in. Then tight end wise, yeah, I mean, how can you not go Brock? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you not? Bowers. I'm gonna go like a young cat, Tyler Warren, thinking just to center for my center, because he can do it all. To be honest with you, so you can use a lot of trick plays with him, and so it'll be a lot of fun. Be able to concoct some offense with him. So.
Okay, very interesting. We have some similarities between the offenses of both of you. I want to hear what you guys were saying because I found it hard to pick because now I feel like I'm second guessing my picks. But I'm gonna go to defenses first. CJ, you are up first. Who is your defense?
Okay, so you go. I think it's what you can go 4 corners and a linebacker, right?
Yeah, I think I went 2 corners and 2 safeties, but yeah, I think it's just 4 DBs is what they say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going J.C. Horn and Pat Surtain. Those are my outside. I'll take a I'll take a Travis Hunter just because he has
Yeah, I knew someone was gonna say that.
Yeah, you can play both sides. Yeah.
Then let's see, that's 3. I'm gonna go. I'm just go a Warner, not Warner. I'm gonna go Javon Holland. Well, no, he's Canadian. Never mind. He's Canadian.
One for me.
You got 2 rushers too, so yeah.
There you go.
2 rushers. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna go linebackers though. Like, I'll go Micah Parsons, and I'll go and I'll go Abdul Carter. I'll go the 2 number 11s. They'll both wear number 1, and then when they rush together,
I like it.
Okay,
you got Cody, all your 4 DBs. You got all.
I think so, right?
Sure. Give me Marshawn Lattimore just for the entertainment value of him going to fight somebody, and give me Derek Stingley. He's an absolute dog.
There you go.
Nice. All right, so my 2 rushers, I had Micah Parsons as well, but he's going to be a little bit older by this time. I think he's already 30, but I'm rolling with Myles Garrett. I just want to see him play flag football, see him throw some guys, some centers that they have blocking him, just throw them right out of the way. I think it'd be fun to see. And then my DBs, I went Patrick Surtain, I went Derek Stingley, but I had to throw a Patriot in there, so I went Christian Gonzalez.
I'm still mad about Christian Gonzalez.
Right?
It still hurts me that we passed on Christian Gonzalez for
I thought you guys were taking him because the Patriots traded back in that draft, and I was like, for sure it's going to happen.
You don't understand. 2 years in a row, I was like, we could have had Christian Gonzalez and Chris Olave. They were right there in our lap. You know how immaculate that would be? But we had Ron Rivera and his malpractice. Oh.
And then I went 1 safety because I just want some guy in the middle of the field that can just play rover a little bit and just pick things off. So I went Kyle Hamilton.
Of course.
Yeah. So I'm sure he's probably going to hit somebody somewhere through the game too, and maybe you'll have to get a backup in there eventually. But and then my linebacker is Fred Warner. He's going to be a little bit old though. That might be interesting. He'll be probably in his mid to late 30s by then, but he's still one of the best linebackers in the game, and he's already got his money, so I don't think he's too worried about getting injured.
Yeah, he just got a big contract.
He did.
Yeah, those are really good picks. Again, a little bit of overlap. I'm not surprised by you guys. It's funny because when I was thinking about this, I'm like, I don't know if I should pick because technically I'm not American, so I should probably stick with my Canadians.
You're North American.
I'm North American, but definitely still different countries. But I wanted to hear what you guys said, and I think even though you said they might be a little bit older or they're quite young, but they might be in their second year contract. Well, that's perfect because I think even with CJ's point about them, it's like some players being held back, especially the star players. Then this kind of works out for everybody. It's a very good draft. We can probably extend this topic if our other guests join next time because I would love to hear their picks as well as maybe I will go in and choose for Team USA.
There you go.
And maybe Team Canada. I might just surprise you guys. So we'll see. That actually would be interesting because many people don't really consider Canada, including myself, when it comes to football. So
Let me ask
American
you one
football.
question.
Hmm.
So you
Yeah.
know how like NFL Europe was like huge early
Yeah.
on in the 2000s and late
Hmm.
90s, and it kind of birthed some stars. Kurt
Hmm.
Warner be one, right? Do you
Hmm.
think that it's possible that flag football could possibly birth a star in the NFL?
Yeah, I think we kind of
Yeah.
mentioned that. I think I forgot which one of us, but one of us mentioned the fact that this could be perhaps something to for scouting purposes intentionally, where the NFL is like, oh, maybe we can consider them for this position, this position, this position.
Yeah,
Very, very well, like, especially because it's going to be documented everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
every good play, internationally or not, if it's a U.S. Member or not or whatever, it's gonna be documented. Everyone's gonna know what happened. Everyone's gonna see it, and then they're gonna be like, "We must have this kid or
Right.
this veteran or whatever it is," right? So I think it's definitely possible, CJ,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I agree too. And like the coaches and owners are going to be watching now because they got to make sure their players aren't getting hurt and
yeah,
nothing
Mm-hmm.
happens to them. So it's like they'll be watching the games, and then yeah, I think there's going to be some at least for tryouts. Like, hey, this guy from freaking I don't know wherever, this guy from
Mm-hmm.
Brazil or something like that's just a
yeah.
beast.
That's
So
what
Brazil,
I was
um,
looking
yeah.
at. Kind of more
yeah,
of like
yeah,
not your typical players. Obviously, it's going to be great for if they do like a documentary with it, like a Hard Knocks Olympics games or
that'd be
whatever.
sweet.
I think also like with the NFL is trying so hard to expand the game internationally, right? So it's like obviously we got a
Mm-hmm.
game in Brazil. We're gonna have a game in Berlin and Scotland and London and
Mm-hmm.
Spain. So like obviously like I think it's good for them and especially for the international pathway program that they have. And then there's also actually a really good spring league that's they play American football as well. I forget the name of it, but like I heard it's like really good football. Like it's actually pretty good quality.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The
uh,
UFL? Are you talking about or?
no, not the UFL. It's a
Uh, oh, it's
European.
European.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a
Okay.
European football league that has like a Frankfurt team. They have like all throughout Europe, and I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but I've been hearing some really good things. Like this is the second year in a row I've been hearing about it. I think they have a champion that's like two-time champions, and they're going for 3P. Someone's in the NFL. So
Right.
yeah, I think it's all good for Roger Goodell's global expansion because I think they want to have a game every single week internationally as like um the long play. So which is sounds disgusting to be honest. Like I'm not for me, but like in terms of just like the
Right.
players thinking of like the
Right.
logistics of like week 1 to week 2, like it's not even that because like week 1 is fine, but then it's like having like a week 2 or week 3 like game internationally to where then it's like a lot of times they try to like if you go play an international game have a bye week the week after, so it's like what do I do? So then it's like they have to be creative in trying to massage the schedule each year.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
think
I
that's.
think. Oh, sorry.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead, Cody. No, no, no. You're first. You're first.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like them trying to grow the game internationally is definitely going to help this like Olympics. But yeah, the international game every week, I think is more of just kind of like a pipe dream. Like it's something cool to talk about, but like you said, the logistics are just not going to be there unless you're counting like international. They're going to play in like obviously Mexico, Canada, some closer countries,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
maybe some Central American countries, but that could be a little bit hard too. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm still interested to see. I'm sure there's players from other countries that are, maybe don't have a shot at the NFL, but they can ball out, and maybe that'll be their shot to get the NFL.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, guys. When it comes to other leagues, I'm thinking more about MMA actually right now. So I don't know anybody here watching that also watches MMA, but the UFC has really good programs when it comes to trying to get other fighters from different countries. One of them predominantly is from Asia. It's called the Road to UFC, and they have these, weekly shows where they go to different Asian countries and they pretty much do like a contender series where they kind of draft who they think should be in the UFC next. So I don't know if there's any other program like besides the one that CJ mentioned about the European Football League that could do something like that, but that'd be awesome. Even if they couldn't make it to the NFL, at least they can make it to the big stage, and you can do like a partnership with the NFL with this league in whatever area of the world kind of thing. I think that'd be very very useful. So something like that, very much mimicking what MMA is doing, because in MMA it's different, right, guys? Like you can go anywhere around the world. Obviously, majority of the games are going to be in North America. Sorry, fights are going to be in North America, but you also go everywhere around the world a few times a year to cover your bases, because some of them are the biggest fan bases, and you guys know that for NFL. Some of the biggest NFL fan bases are not just in America. They're in Europe, South America, huge NFL fan base. And then obviously, Canada is also there. So I'm just saying the possibilities are endless. You can definitely explore those kind of partnerships. I would think that would only just increase the viewership of the NFL even more. Okay, guys.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna ask you real quick, like you being in Brazil, have you seen like NFL jerseys and like NFL apparel? Oh, sweet, that's cool.
Everywhere, man. Like Eagles jerseys for now because they just won the Super Bowl.
Even the Kelly Greens.
Oh yeah, you gotta be careful with the green. You gotta look at the black jerseys, right?
Yeah, is it the white jerseys? Is the black jerseys?
No, it's the green jerseys.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it is the green jerseys.
Yeah.
At least the ones I've seen. I've only walked around a couple times around the city, but so far, and then they have a few like random teams here and there where they have their jerseys. So yeah, no, it's pretty big. A lot of people love their football here. So like I said, like just any partnership with anything like that, or a program, or even like just a documentary or anything like that would just be worthwhile, I think, in investing, right? So we are almost at time, but I just wanted to thank my hosts CJ and Cody today for joining me on this lovely Sunday evening talking NFL. This was really fun, guys. We also, if you guys see the banner that runs across the bottom, you can always catch us on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sports Fluent. Usually it's YouTube, Facebook, and X. And you can always super make some comments, especially on YouTube if you guys want to. We love responding to your comments. And then we also have merchandise. Yes, we have From the Sideline tees that are selling for $19.99 at Sports Fluent website. It is on the banner that runs there. So it's like fluent.printfly or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So next week, I think honestly, guys, we're definitely gonna bring this topic back when it comes to the Olympics, especially with all the updates that are gonna be happening with that. So we're definitely gonna bring that back, and hopefully we'll have Josh Jackson with us on the panel to discuss their Team USA Olympic dream teams for flag football. That is, if anyone's just joining right now, the 2028 Summer Olympic flag football debut. There's going to be a Team USA, and most likely they're going to get gold. But you know what? There might be some teams that are going to be out there that are probably gunning for it. Like I'm thinking those rugby teams. So, so we'll have to just stay tuned. And then next week we can also expand on this topic. I'm thinking if we know any international players that might be ones to watch in this flag football ordeal for the Olympics. I think that'd be really, really cool as well. Anybody have some last minute comments before we go? And we're very close to the start of the season. It's not that far away, guys. It really isn't.
What do you think? Who you think is the nation that could be a sleeper nation to upset the United States on home soil? What country do you think could be the sleeper nation in football?
Ooh, that's a good question, because it's hard to tell. I mean, like, never really seen an international football event, so I've never seen what these teams look like. I can't think of a whole bunch of international players on top of my head that are playing in the NFL right now. A lot of them are offensive alignment too, so it's like not exactly gonna play. But I'm gonna roll with like Australia or New Zealand. Get the teams that are good at rugby. Maybe they have some players that can translate to a flag football field. Gonna have to have a quarterback though. Can they have someone who can throw the ball? Is like the big question mark. But yeah, I would say probably like in Australia.
I want to say Canada, and I'm not just being hopeful in this, but like when CJ kind of just mentioned a few of them, I was like, wait a second, you're totally right. I am missing like certain players. Like they played with certain players on different teams, so they know their tricks here and there. So if there's like, let's just say one Canadian player that's played with one of the NFL staples in the US, there could be a sense of like, well, I know what he's gonna do, or I know how he's gonna do it, so I'm gonna try to stop him. So I'm gonna say Canada, even though I was leaning towards Australia at first, but then I was like, you know what, we'll be hopeful. See if we can bounce back from silver, hopefully, and get gold. But that's just me though.
I have two teams. One, Samoa, like the Pacific, like I feel like that.
Oh my god,
that's like the and there's a ton of them in the NFL. So
get out there.
Yeah, and then I would say Japan, because I know there's like Japanese football that they have gone for a while, and I think there'll be a team that's like super organized and just like sleeper, because like especially if you kind of think of like some of the soccer kind of builds, like maybe like some speed, and I think there'll be a team that'll be like super fast, and I think that could surprise people.
Yeah, Samoa is interesting. I didn't think about them. It's like I know there's guys like Puka and like Tua. They're technically Hawaiian, but do they like, hey, you know what? Let's just play for Samoa, because like we've seen that in other Olympic sports where it's like, hey, like Embiid just played for America, even though he's obviously not was not born here. So maybe they go and play there. There's other guys like you said. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a good sleeper team. Yeah, I would not have thought about. That's a good point. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know why maybe because I thought they were going to be associated with like the Americans for some reason. Maybe that's why I didn't think that. I was thinking like Tua and like that kind of nation, but I wasn't actually like 100% sure what the associations were going to be. The countries were going to look like.
Tua, the starting quarterback, to get his only, he'd get a gold medal.
right.
That's hey, you know what? That story that's pretty good.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be great, guys. Okay, guys, we're going to see you all next week, next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern for From the Sideline. And it's going to be on Sports Fluent, so please check us out. And in the meantime, have a great evening and have a great week.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
No, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.